But anyway, so some of the ones that people were concerned about, ended up doing pretty good. But they tested 46 different candy products from 10 different companies. Arsenic was detected in a number of those products, and that obviously raises questions about exposure for kids.
Oh yeah, you heard that right, Patriots. They found arsenic in candy for kids. Now you want to find out which bread you're consuming, especially in Florida, that have chemicals in it and toxins? Here we go.
And these breads were tested for a wide range of substances, including heavy metals and pesticides, other chemical contaminants, to provide a broader picture of what consumers might be exposed to. And as the Florida Department of Health really began reviewing a lot of this data, looking for context and perspective, right? Because that's really important. One finding for them really kind of jumped off at the page, and that was the levels of glyphosate. Glyphosate is a weed killer. It's the main ingredient that you find in Roundup and other weed-killing brands.
Hey there, Patriots. This is True Outlaw Patriot coming at you with another one. Okay, I played just a little bit from the beginning. You heard about the candy. This is Ron DeSantis' wife. She's going to talk about the bread now. And you just heard her say that the glyphosate that they find in some of the bread that is being sold pretty much around the nation, but we all see it in Florida. I'm in Florida. We see it a lot in certain stores. I'm not going to mention the stores or anything like that. And it's the chemical that's found in the weed killer Roundup, which we all know for years now there has been many lawsuits, okay, against Roundup because of the chemicals inside that have made a lot of people sick. So I believe she's going to mention one or two of the bread brands. If she doesn't, I'll jump to it so you can hear it, or I'll just say it out myself. So I'm putting up this video so everybody can get a little more awareness of what we're consuming. And this is something that Ron DeSantis, his wife, I believe she's the one that started spearheading it. And I'm going to play a clip from their Surgeon General in Florida, so you can hear what he says. But it's something that we all need to be aware of, especially when it comes to the kids, because more times than none, it's the kids that are consuming probably more bread than adults. Okay, so I just want to put this video out there to spread the awareness, and so everybody can go and do their due diligence to find out. There's also a website that, in case you don't know, now you're going to find out that you can go on and find out exactly which products you're consuming, okay? And it's all public information, so that you can find out what you're consuming and which chemicals are in, if any, in any products that that we're eating every day, which is something that's very important, because even the smallest amounts can hurt somebody. And I, for the life of me, cannot understand, and I'm just going to say it now before I forget, I, for the life of me, cannot understand how in America we companies are allowed to incorporate so many harsh chemicals and heavy metals into the food, but yet when you go overseas, let's just say right across the pond to Europe, it's way different for the same products. And they push hard on that in Europe, not to have certain chemicals and products in their products, but yet in America, it's like we're the world's guinea pigs when it comes to putting food out and what other additives and preservatives they add, as opposed to other countries where they don't, and yet they still ship. Those companies still ship their products overseas. So, with that being said, let's get into this real quick so you guys can hear what she has to say. Here we go.
It's designed to kill plants. It is not meant to be eaten. The labels on glyphosate-based pesticides clearly warn that the chemicals are harmful and must be kept out of reach of children. In fact, they include emergency instructions for accidental exposure and make clear these products are not meant for people to touch, not meant for it to be into the food, and certainly not meant to be consumed. And yet, here we are today with these findings. Independent testing from certified third-party labs found triple-digit glyphosate levels in several widely consumed brands, including Nature's Own Butter Bread, Nature's Own Perfected Crafted White, Wonder Bread Classic White, and Sara Lee Honey Wheat. In contrast, Sara Lee Artisano White and Pepperidge Farmhouse White had no detectable glyphosate levels. So once again, and we've seen this in every category that we have tested, whether it's the baby formula or the candy, there are problematic levels of some of these contaminants. And then in that same category of food, there are some that don't have any detectable levels. So what does that tell us? There is a right way to do it without these chemicals getting into the food supply.
Okay, now it's either that, or it's the way that, in my opinion, the way what do you call it? The type of bread you're consuming. I guess whichever way the way they make the wheat bread and the white bread or whatever, they're adding chemicals. Okay, and I have to be very careful how I say that. But for some odd reason, those chemicals are in the types of bread that she's saying and not the others. Because if you look at it, like let's just say Nature's Own, they have 4 or 5 different types of bread. When you go to the grocery store, you'll see it on the shelf. So why are some of them showing positive and some of them not? And if I had to guess, this is just my opinion, okay, and this is just for entertainment purposes, I think it has to do with shelf life. I think that a certain type of bread that they're making, it either spoils faster, so they have to add something to it in order for it to stay longer, or if it's a chemical that they're spraying over the crops, it's acting a certain way to a certain crop, okay, which makes it linger longer, and then it just stays in that batch of wheat when they make that bread. I mean, there's so many different ways. Finding out why the answer is, to that is another, is something else that people are going to have to venture into. But you've seen the names that she put out, so like that you guys can do, your own research and use your judgment on what it is you're buying when you go to the store.
There is a major disconnect between a chemical labeled as unsafe to ingest and its quiet presence in everyday food like bread. This is exactly why transparency and accountability matters. Consumers deserve to know the truth and to make informed decisions about what they consume. And that is one of the big reasons about why we are on the mission that we are currently on. And this.
Okay, so I just wanted to play that part so you guys can hear the bread. I'm gonna go back right here in real time. You know what? Let me edit this because I want to go back and to the part where DeSantis puts the name of the website you guys can go to, and then I just want to play something from the Surgeon General. Something, just a part that he when he's talking, something that he says, and I want to put it in the video because I think it's very important for all of us. So here we go.
Results were posted, and so the website for the Department of Health for consumers to look is exposingfoodtoxins.com. So if you go in, you have both of those two, and then you will have the results of today. So today is about testing bread.
Okay, so I just wanted to play that part. Now you know what the website is. Okay, so you guys go on. I did when I came across this video yesterday. I mean, and here's the thing. This video has been out for 2 weeks. Okay? And if you don't believe me, I'll minimize it so you guys can see. This video was put out 2 weeks ago, February 5th, and it's got almost 300,000 views. Okay? And what I don't understand is that and I'm not trying to get political on this, because in my opinion this affects everybody. It doesn't matter if you're on the left or the right. It doesn't matter to me, especially when it comes to kids consuming stuff and them getting sick, and even adults for that matter. And if anybody knows me and my content, my channel, what I'm all about, when it comes to many different things that can affect somebody, I'm going to put the information out there, because I always say that life is precious. When it comes to the political aspect, that's different. But when it comes to people getting sick and what we can do to prevent it, I think everybody should know. It doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on. Okay? But what I don't understand, right quickly, is if so many people pick on Ron DeSantis saying he's a bad governor, but yet he's making moves like this, how come all this wasn't published all over the news in the past 2 weeks? Now, I know there's a lot that's been going on. I mean, from the Olympics going on and controversy there to what's going on in Iran and what's going on behind, in our society here in America. I mean, there's just so many things going on. As a matter of fact, Mexico's in turmoil as of yesterday or a day and a half ago. In case you haven't heard, you might want to check that out with what's going on. But there's so many things going on. But when it comes to something like this that affects the health of men, women, and children here in America, you would think this would be all over the news. So like that, more people could be aware and stop, make the decision if they want to keep consuming these things or not. Especially, like I said, when it comes to bread consumption, I think, in my opinion, that children consume more bread than adults. We make more sandwiches for them. In school, they're given bread. I mean, as opposed to grown-ups where they're trying to watch their weight, trying to watch, their carb intake, all kinds of stuff. So they tend to diet more on that and get different breads. When it comes to kids, parents, adults, they're buying many loaves of bread, especially when they're on sale. They're cheap, just to keep giving their kids all kinds of sandwiches and just stuff, make them stuff to munch on. So I just think that's important, and people need to understand what's going on. And shame on the mainstream media for not putting a spotlight on this. Not that the mainstream media has any shame anyway, but I'm going to say it anyway, shame on them. With that being said, I want to jump to the last part of the video, of my video, where I want to show what the Surgeon General in Florida has to say. Here we go.
And the opportunity to work with the First Lady, and she's very passionate about this, and it's extremely important. I mean, it's so important. We spend our lives eating while we're here, and the choices that we make about what we put in our bodies, certainly there's the immediate effect, right? Delicious food, nothing like it, but they're also long-term effects, and it's a challenge, right? No one's perfect, but we do know Secretary Kennedy has talked a lot about this, and it's totally true. I mean, there's just a lot of chronic disease out there, and we've seen chronic disease increase among children, and there are a lot of question marks. Why is it? Why are we seeing more cases of cancer in young people? Why is this autoimmune disease prevalence just out of control, especially among women? I mean, it's totally out of control, the prevalence of autoimmune disease. Why do so many kids have autism, especially boys? There really is there's been a real substantial increase in chronic disease, autoimmune illness, cancers in young people that we don't have good explanations for. But almost certainly it has something to do with the environments that we live in. And that includes everything that we breathe, things that we drink, things that we consume and eat, things that we are exposed to that we can't even see, like these things that are inseparable from us. So we've done.
Okay, so you heard some of what he said. Okay, and I agree. People. I think society has become so complacent on just believing whatever's coming out of all these factories that are making stuff for us to consume, that we're basically just going along with it, saying, well, if this store sells it, it's got to be good. Okay, it's like you'll see. Let's say you go shopping. Let's just say, and I'm not accusing. I'm just using two name brand stores. Okay, let's say you live in Florida. One of the biggest supermarkets is Publix. Okay, so let's say you buy something from Publix, but then you go right around the corner to, let's say, Dollar General, and you see that same product there, and it's like $3 less. I've seen people rather buy it at Publix than at Dollar General, and I've even questioned them. You can get that $3 cheaper at Dollar General, and more times than none, they frown upon that, as if something is wrong with the product at Dollar General. Same product, just $3 cheaper than at Publix. They'd rather spend more money because they think the more money they're spending that the better that product is. In other words, you take the same product, sell it at Publix for $10, sell it at Dollar General for $7, $5, they think there's something wrong with it. With them not understanding, no, it's not that there's something wrong with it, okay? You think by paying more for that product, it is less prone to be contaminated with toxins. It's the same product. It's just that they're selling the product to people that want to save money. Let's just say and I hate saying this like this, people, so forgive me, from the poor to the middle class, they're selling that product with the same toxins in it. And then you go to the middle class and upper class rich and sell the same product to them for more money, but the same chemicals are in it. Okay? I hope everybody understands what I'm saying. And this is where we have people need to make wise decisions. Okay? And you need to find out which products you're buying, you're consuming, and you're giving to the kids that, like I showed, Ron DeSantis put the website out. You go on that website, you punch in the product. I spoke to a few people who said that they have done it, that there's a certain protocol you have to, in order to find out what it is you want to find out, but you will get an answer. And I think that is vital that a lot of people start doing that, especially if you know that you're in somewhat of poor health. You need to find out exactly what you're consuming, okay? And especially when it comes to the everyday products that you keep buying. I mean, just look at your grocery list. What is it that you always put on your grocery list every single time? And I can tell you right now, it's usually bread, milk, eggs, and butter or oil or something like that. Those are usually the first things. And then after that, you wind up putting your pastas, rice, potatoes. Then after that, when you do your meat list, the same thing. You got your chicken, your meat, your pork. Fish is always dead last on a lot of people's list because it's more expensive. Okay? But now when it comes to you looking at your list, yeah, you can still buy your bread, but you need to find out exactly which breads you're buying that are being, that are being tested all the time for toxins. And that's how you wind up changing up your diet in order to start basically detoxing yourself from all these chemicals that you've been consuming for so long. And a lot of people don't do that. They just stick with the same grocery list over and over and over again. And by the time you know it, you start questioning, why am I always sick? Why are the kids always sick? I mean, one of the biggest things right now that a lot of people, and again, I'm not knocking anybody's diet. I'm not trying to knock any companies, but I've noticed a lot of people there on this gluten-free health kick. And it's like, no, a lot of people, they're suffering. They can't have gluten. And I'm like, you know what? This whole gluten-free thing, this is, in my opinion, this is all brand new. I've never even really heard when it comes to gluten-free products up until, 10, 15 years ago. Now it's like you go shopping and you'll have nearly every product in the store that has the same product just right next to it. Now it's gluten-free. But yet I did a little bit of research and supposedly people need gluten in their bodies. So it's you have to be very careful. I mean, back in the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, they said eat as much red meat as you can is good for you, as many eggs as you can, orange juice, drink as much milk. That's what keeps you healthy. Here we are, 50, 60 years later, they're saying, you got 15 types of different milk. Don't eat this type of red meat. You can't have these eggs unless they're range free. Don't do this, don't do that. But yet, when you look at the farmers that are basically farming for these products for us, let's just say milk, eggs, and meat, these guys, that's what they're consuming every day, and they're strong as bulls. So it makes you wonder, so how is it that they're eating their own product, but then when it leaves the farm, it ends up having all these other chemicals that's making people on the outside sick? Think about that, people. Now, like I said, I'm not putting out this video to knock on any companies, anything like that. I'm not trying to get a strike. I'm just putting this out as awareness for people to eat a little more healthy. There's that one little piece I wanted to show you. Let me see if I can find it. I'll be right back. Here we go. Okay, now this is the part I want you guys to listen to very clearly. And when I heard this man speak, it touched me because I wish more people would think like this. And these are the type of people that we need in government and in many positions in government. Listen to what he says.
I mentioned cordon weed, and people were chronically exposed to it. So when it's been studied, what has generally been found is that, it has a lot of really insidious effects, very concerning effects. So one of the things, over these last few decades, we've been hearing more about the gut microbiome and how important that is. Like all these billions and billions of bacteria that live in our gut that somehow have this symbiosis with our body in terms of helping our immune system function properly, affecting our mood, affecting our energy, affecting our sleep. This miracle of life that God has created.
That right there. What he just said, this miracle of life that God has created. When I heard him say this, you rarely hear. I mean, we're hearing more politicians come out now, but when it comes to science, okay, and I'm using this loosely when it comes to this gentleman because he is he's a doctor and stuff like that. Okay, that's why he's the Surgeon General. You never really hear that many people in the medical field refer to God when it comes to their work and how they look at everything. So when I heard this man say this, and let me tell you something, I'm going to leave a link in the description to this video because there's a lot that they say. I just cut this down because it's a very long video. So I'll leave the link so you guys can watch the whole thing. There's a lot of information, especially when it comes to the candy. Okay? It's going to blow your mind. But when I heard him say this is when I know that this man is serious. When he's referring to God, of how God, okay, has made our bodies to if you take care of it, to run like a well-oiled machine. Okay? You won't hear a lot of doctors say that. They'll say, well, you know what? You got to exercise more. You got to take this. You got to ingest that. You got to let go of this. You got to let go of that. They never really come out and say, well, you know what? God gave you the perfect body if you just take care of it. Okay? God made our bodies strong to fight off all kinds of, diseases and deal with different bacteria and stuff like that if you take care of your body and you ingest the right food, okay, and the right fluids. So when I heard that, it just really touched me because I was like, you know what, finally and it's in Florida, and I'm not saying that all the other surgeon generals around the country don't think the same. I just never heard them even say remotely what this man just said, referring to God when it comes to their field of work. Okay? And I just think that if you have a doctor, if you have a nurse, if you have a surgeon general, we already know what their job is because of their title. But when they incorporate God, in their work, I think that's very important, and it's somebody, when it comes to your health, that you can trust. Okay? That's just my opinion. I mean, they ranked on Ben Carson a lot, even though, he's a very religious Christian man, and we already know how the left has treated him. He's just not good enough. And you have to ask yourself, why? Is it because he's not on the left? Or is it because he believes in God? And I think it's a major disservice, and it doesn't matter on which side of the aisle you're on. I think it's a major disservice that people like him get vilified. This man is basically, telling us like it is. This is what we have to do. And God is the one that gave us these bodies and gave us all these things inside of our body in order to fight off certain things as long as we take care of it. And I think that's very important. Okay. Now, maybe a lot of you that watch my video, understand. Maybe some of you will watch it and not care for it. That's fine. But I truly believe that. And I'm so glad that he mentioned that, because it just made me believe, this man, he's really out there to do some good work. And that's what we need more of, especially in the medical field. We need more people in the medical field. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that everyone in the medical field is out to harm people. I just think that there are too many of certain people in the medical field that they're all about the dollar sign. Okay? And I'm pretty sure many of you agree. Because last I checked, when somebody goes to the doctor, I never had a doctor ask me where I stand politically. But if we have somebody that works in the medical field that is a believer in Christ, and they incorporate that in their job, we're going to see a lot more people, healing better, instead of just staying sick and staying on medication for the rest of their life. I just wanted to throw that in. I hope everybody understands. And again, there's a lot in this video. It's like a 30-minute video, but I had to chop it up. But I'll leave a link in the description so you guys can watch the whole thing if you want to. Please watch it, especially when it comes to the kids. I didn't put in the part about the baby formula, just because sake of time, but that's something else, especially you moms that are giving your babies formula, or you're expecting. If you watch this video, watch it, get the information so you find out what's going on. They're putting a lot of chemicals, and it just seems to it seems to be focused on the kids, and that's not a good thing. That's definitely not. But anyway, that's what I got for you. Don't forget to comment, like, share, subscribe, pass the channel around, and if you can help support the channel, there's a link in my description to my Cash App and my merch store. So remember, people, stay vigilant, keep praying for each other, keep praying for the women and the children, pray for this country, pray for your enemies, pray for President Trump, and don't forget to pray for all the missing children that they brought across the border. Peace.